Happy Friday, y'all.
Yes. Tomorrow's Nick and I's wedding anniversary.
Oh, how many years? 10?
11.
11.
Yeah. Which is just kind of strange sometimes to think about how long you've been with someone. Like we've been together for 13, 14 years now. That's a really long time.
I feel like each year keeps getting better and better.
Aww.
As my husband walks by and he's like, eye rolling. No, just kidding.
I agree. Like, I feel like Nick and I are just thriving right now.
Yeah.
Like physically, intimacy, emotionally. I feel like our marriage has just gotten better and better as the years have gone on.
I mean, kids and stress and all of that stuff. I think it just, teamwork makes the dream work. And so it's like going through those seasons with your true best friend and partner. Like I am definitely not a gem to live with every day.
Me neither.
I'm not going to say. Yeah, I mean, my biggest complaint is, and I don't even want to say it because then it'll just like open Pandora's box. But it is literally the clothes next to the bed. Even though my clothes are everywhere. Okay, I fully take ownership of that.
Nick does the same thing.
But I don't understand. And then it's like, well, I was going to use those shorts for tomorrow. And I'm like, but it's been on the floor for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You just put it away and clean it. So
okay. Before the end of the week, we need to find a time that we do a podcast together.
Okay.
Liz, me, Art, and Nick.
And then also have like dinner and
have dinner and
like hang out. And
yes,
stuff.
hang out.
Yes,
yes,
we can,
absolutely.
for sure.
So, because I really do think that it would be fun for everyone involved, including the listeners.
It actually will just be a roasting of Liz and Becca, which will be the title of the podcast, the roast of Liz and Becca. And I'm sure that our podcast producer, aka my husband, will make it really fun because he will have multiple photos of us. So we got to tell a story if we haven't already. And then we'll get into today's topic. But my husband sometimes takes photos of us mid-podcast that are just like cringe.
Like face stills screenshots.
Yeah, just like we have a lot of faces. We're very animated. Yes. I have a resting bitch face too that I really try to work on. But anyways, he took a picture of Becca once and sent it to Nick. And now Nick has it as the screensaver when Becca calls.
It's not a flattering photo. Let me just say that. It is an awful photo. And I'm trying to remember in Landman what song plays when his wife calls.
I don't know.
Because it's like something not kind. And I need to look it up. But that is what Nick wanted to create. Is like obviously his wife is insane and beautiful, but like absolute psychotic. And I was like, so are you saying something here? I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah. So we have great husbands. And I think one of the cool things is like seeing them become fathers.
Yeah.
Brought a new level of love to the marriage of like how great he is as a parent and, how much he wants to be involved, but then also forgets my children at daycare. So
we'll just leave it at that. No, it was just a simple misunderstanding. All right. If you're dealing with water retention, you're waking up puffy, your ankles or your wrists are really swollen, or you can't get your rings off, and maybe you're even dragging throughout the day, no matter how much water you drink, there's actually a good chance that you're not actually hydrating properly.
Exactly, because water alone is not enough. You need electrolytes, you need sodium, potassium, magnesium, because those things actually pull water into your cells. Otherwise, you're basically just flushing it out and wondering why you're still tired, you're still bloated, and you're still sluggish.
But here's the thing, most electrolyte supplements out there aren't helping you in any way because a lot of them contain things like natural flavors, food dyes, and maltodextrin, which can irritate your gut. And these things can also spike your blood sugar when you're trying to heal.
That's why we both started using Buoy. It's super simple, just trace minerals and electrolytes in liquid form. No flavors, no colors, no sugar, no sweeteners, and you squeeze it into whatever you are drinking. Water, coffee, tea, smoothies, you name it.
And it's clinically backed by science too. So studies have shown that Buoy helps you hydrate better, 64% better in fact, and that's data coming from key blood and urinary markers, not just marketing fluff. And honestly, you can feel the difference. I've had many clients tell me their digestion's improved, they have less headaches, and they're better energy throughout the day.
And Buoy isn't just for people that go to the gym all the time and sweat a bunch. They actually offer a 35% lifetime discount for anyone that's struggling with chronic illnesses. Things like POTS, Hashimoto's, Crohn's disease, chronic migraines, and every autoimmune condition. They're really committed to making better hydration accessible to people who need it most.
I actually throw it in my coffee every morning because it's such an easy upgrade. You don't even taste it, but you're definitely going to notice if you miss it.
If you're tired of playing hydration roulette and want something that actually supports your body, you've got to try Buoy. It's honestly one of the simplest ways to feel better faster. It was him not listening is what it was. It was him having selective hearing. So it's fine. Everything worked out fine. My children are safe and sound because my mother-in-law is more reliable in those moments. So anyways, on to today's topic. We are talking a little Friday fire and talking around what you don't do matters just as much as what you do. Because I think a lot of people are like, what supplement can I add? Or what routine do I need to add? I need to have my morning routine be 9 things long and all of this stuff. And sometimes we don't look at it as, what do we give up? Like, what are you sacrificing? Because I think a lot of people live in the world of, I don't want to sacrifice. I just want to add more to, like, okay, I don't want to give up. And I'm a perfect example of this. I emailed our mentor last night and I was like, so normally we email him client cases of like, hey, this is going on. We're kind of, what are your thoughts? What are your perspectives on this case? And I emailed him, the title of the email was client case. And in parentheses, it was like, it's me. And I put, hey, I've definitely like noticed I do struggle with some afternoon crashing, like brain fog. And I know that I'm burning the candle at both ends, but I don't want to give that up. Like, I'm not going to give up my stress, basically. And I was like, what can I take to help with keeping myself super clear and on focus? And I love it because he was like, I'm all about it. To avoid the crash, I do this and this. This is my stack. And I get it. I need to probably reevaluate some things, but also like I have 2 small children. We have a thriving business that requires a lot of us. And I don't want to sacrifice like my marriage and time with my husband. I don't want to sacrifice, whatever. And so in those places, I'm like, how can I be healthier for myself? And what can I put in place to support my system? I get it. Okay, guys, I get it. I'd still get 7 hours of sleep at night, but like I don't get a lot of deep sleep. And so we talked about some things to do that. And anyways, I think in general, people don't want to give up their toxic habits, whether it's alcohol, whether it's, a sedentary lifestyle, whether it's the pizza every week, whatever it is. And they'd rather just like, what can I add? And so we want to talk about today. It might matter just as much what you're choosing not to do as what you're choosing to bring in.
Yeah. So we just got back from Spain and the mentorship group that my husband is in, we were walking and listening to a training from the sales mentor. And this was a topic that came up and I thought that he did a really great job. So I'll try to kind of paint this picture for you, but this can really apply to any area of your life. So we'll talk today about health and body. We can talk mind and stress, relationships and identity. But, when you start a journey to lose weight, let's say, right, you're thinking about, I now need to drink water, hit my protein, track my food. Maybe you're doing, calories or macros, but you're keeping track, right? So that takes a little bit of time. Maybe you need to add in the exercise or movement. You're making times for walks or you're going to the gym, signing up for gym membership, carving out that time to drive to and from. All of those things require you to do something, right? And then he talked about some of the things that we just don't do, where you set boundaries and you draw a line in the sand, and that can matter just as much, if not more in some cases. And so he actually gave an example of traveling through Europe for like 4 weeks, was really enjoying himself, eating and drinking and all of the things, but came home and got very sick. And in that week that he was very, very ill, he decided, I am not going to have alcohol for the next year. And at that point in time in his life, he was really in, the scenes of a lot of young people going out and hanging out and going to the clubs and whatnot. And so he's like, my mind was just made up. Like, I'm just not drinking alcohol. He's like, for other individuals, that would be very, very hard or very challenging. But for me, what I found is that me simply removing that factor, that variable, instantaneously made everything else in my life better. Because he was finding, for example, if he went out on Friday night, he was having to recover Saturday, and mentally, you're brain foggy for a couple of days after even just a couple of drinks. Recover Sunday and then go back into work Monday, and it's like just kind of this cycle. He's like, I just realized that simply by not drinking alcohol on Friday nights, I was already better. My health was better. My liver health was better, right? Metabolism was better because, by the way, when you're drinking alcohol, it slows down metabolism and obviously requires your liver to work harder. It impacts hormones, blood sugar, that impacts your sleep, your gut health, all the things. I'm not saying don't have drinks every now and then. We enjoyed. I had 2.5 because Becca left me her half, and I wasn't about to let a good espresso martini go to waste.
I had that point.
You were done. You
I
were
was
like,
like,
I'm so tired.
I'm just not even enjoying this at this point.
So
And
tired.
I was,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're not saying that you're never, this is something that you have to do, but this could ring true for you if you find that that is something like your kryptonite where you notice it's impacting you for multiple days. It could also be, hey, I just don't do that really crazy intense CrossFit workout because it's leaving me sore and I can't recover from it for multiple days, right? So it's really just flipping the switch here and thinking like, what is it in your life that is negatively impacting you for 12, 24, 48 hours? Or maybe it's something that is causing you to not have a great relationship. I will tell you that through a period of my life after my mom passed away, not only was alcohol at play, but also my emotions were like insane because of that alcohol. So I would be like a crying, blubbery mess, right? Then arguing with my husband, like ridiculous. It was because I was using this as a coping mechanism. I didn't know what to do with all of these emotions. And instead of addressing them, I was trying to suppress them, but then it's like that beach ball effect where you try to hold the beach ball underwater and then it just implodes, right? So I think this will change for different seasons of life for people. Absolutely. So thinking about this, from a home environment perspective, like maybe you don't buy the thing that is a trigger for you. So this could be ultra processed food. It could be ice cream. It could be certain chips, right? Something in your house that if you get stressed out, you go to the cupboard and that is your kryptonite in terms of handling those emotions in the moment. But that does not align with your goals of living a healthy vitality life, full of energy and mental clarity and mood and all that stuff. Because the reality is, and we've talked about this in multiple podcasts right now, your gut bacteria remember these things. And a lot of these things, we talk a lot, from the mindset side, it's just become a habit. Like you don't even want it anymore, but you just know 3:00, your body literally just knows 3:00 or 8:00, 9:00, whatever time it is of the day. I should have that chocolate because yesterday I had that chocolate and I liked what that did for my dopamine receptors. That lit me up like a Christmas tree. I felt happy, right? Or maybe I'm crashing at that point in time and that's what I was going for. So maybe you don't buy the thing. Maybe you don't keep the alcohol in the house. And maybe you don't, go on and have your kids just load up your grocery cart at the grocery store because now they're doing these things, even though it's maybe not a trigger to you, but you're seeing this unfold with your family. And so that I think is just as important as making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you are eating good quality food. And again, we're not saying that there can never be a little bit of balance here, but it's setting some of these boundaries to say like, nope, that just doesn't live in alignment with my values and what I ultimately want.
Yeah. And I think a big piece of it is, yes, a lot of the physical things, right? A lot of the avoiding the alcohol, avoiding the processed foods. But I think probably more than anything else is setting up your environment mentally and emotionally. It was a huge topic of conversation at the event that we hosted in terms of how much your nervous system controls the ability for the body to heal, and how ultimately, if you never let your body get into this like parasympathetic rest and digest state, you will not heal. It's how your body heals. Like it can only heal in that state. And so when you are chronically stressing, you're opening up social media as soon as you wake up, you're doom scrolling, you're worrying about all the things at work, you're worrying about all the ways you're not being the best mom. Like this chronic negative mental state is toxic to the body. And yes, the physical can, manifest into that. We talked a lot about that too, in terms of how when the physical's not well, you feel that mentally, right? And a lot of people think they have anxiety or ADHD when in reality, it might be like hidden infections digestively, or it might be mold exposures, or it might be, hormone imbalances, you name it.
Might be that you're just putting too much shit on your plate.
But essentially at the end of the day, I would evaluate how much of your day is spent calm, right? Because a lot of us are in that type A, go, go, go. I have to be productive to feel, purpose in this world. I have to do all the things to feel like people need me. I have to have the to-do list. I have to every day accomplish everything on my to-do list or I'm a failure, right? And we never slow down. And so from the moment you wake up, you are on emails, on social media, you're tending to your kids, you're tending to your spouse, whatever it might be. And so I really encourage people to evaluate in your day, where do you bring calm? Like, where do you let time just for you? Because before you know it, if you don't, you'll wake up a year, 2 years, 10 years, and you'll realize how deep you've gotten in this hole. And I've talked to many women, because a lot of women do this when they become moms, is your kids need you, but they need all of you. And when you are not in a place where you can take care of yourself because you're putting all of your time and effort into your children or other people, it creates a debt in your health ultimately. And so we saw that conversation a lot with the people at our event this weekend, and it's devastating. People feel like they can't be a mom because they haven't taken the time to themselves because they put all the time to being a mom. But now you're a worse mom, or quote unquote, like in your mind, you can't succeed at being that role because you haven't taken care of you. And so I think it starts with what brings you happiness, what brings you joy, what fills your cup physically and mentally. For me, I need my time at the gym. I love having my kids around, but like I can't work out with my kids around. I just can't. Occasionally here and there, if like there's no other option, of course, but I need time just for me to focus on me. That's a piece. The other piece is like, I tell Nick this sometimes, I need to go and just go grocery shopping by myself, or, go and shop by myself, or, hey, can you take the kids so that I can focus on X, Y, and Z, just me? And then that's why I wake up early, and I didn't in the phase of life when I had newborns. Like, you need the sleep. It's just a different world in that first year. But like once my kids had established sleeping schedules and they were sleeping through the night, thank God they're both sleeping until like 7 a.m. now. I wake up early because that's the time for me. That's the time that I can focus on just me. I can journal. I can, read the Bible. I can do whatever I feel I need that morning. Because at the end of the day, if I don't take that time, my nervous system feels it, whether I realize it or not. So yeah, I think the mind and the emotional piece is a big one where people try to keep adding when it's like, what are you taking away to give space for that?
Yeah. So I think in terms of what I don't do. So for me personally, this has been a shift just in the past few months. I don't check my practice better in the morning, first thing in the morning, because it starts to stress me out in terms of like client messages and things like that. What I've had to realize is many of my clients are like super supportive of this. They even remind me, because they're going to hear me on the podcast, say it again today, like, you shouldn't be working late hours, weekends, early in the morning. They know that I'm going to get back to them in a reasonable time frame. But what I found is that it was taking away a lot of creativity for me. So if I were to wake up and I go on and I'm in my practice better, just answering messages and things like that, sometimes if I have a really busy day and I just know, like, for example, this morning we're podcasting and I'm not going to have time this afternoon to get back in there, that's what I chose to do. Okay. But I wasn't in the creative mode. If I am needing to be in the creative mode, in the creative space, I'm not checking my practice better. And that's not a focus. My focus is writing things down, brainstorming, right? I'm not on social media. I'm literally sitting there thinking about what are the most common questions I get? What are ways that I could share this educational information that's also entertaining, because the stupid algorithm needs to pick it up in order for it to be, shown to people. And so that might be something that you're like, okay, like then I don't do this on these days, right? You don't maybe hang around certain people anymore that are negative or draining you. Maybe you don't answer the phone when they call. I have people in my life that I don't answer the phone often, maybe once or twice when they're calling, but, a lot of times, and I'm just going to say it's my dad, like I love him very much, but it is draining to me to have these conversations right now. And so I have set boundaries with that. Also, this could be that maybe it's coworkers, or it is that you need to be around certain people because of whatever the situation is, then set boundaries and leave when you need to. You are fully, as an adult, able to say, hey guys, it's time for me to go. Rachel Shear gave this example, and I thought it was a great one this weekend when she was training for her body composition shows, and her family, like, they drink a lot. So she would show up, she would spend time with them. She wants to have a relationship with them. She wanted to nourish those relationships. She didn't want to just outcast them from her life, but she didn't want to partake in that. So she would just say, hey, when they started drinking, that's when I left. And I said, hey, I've got to be up early in the morning or whatever she would do. She had other things, places to be. She would leave. She would remove herself from that environment that was draining or negative. This also could be something where you're saying that you're looking at what drains you and what charges you, and you're just saying, look, then I'm not doing these things that drain me anymore. Right. So make a list of that and evaluate your day. At the end of your day, I think it's always great to reflect, like, what went well today? What area could I have been, better? And I often think, especially with kiddos, like this morning, I was like short fused with my 6-year-old because he like wasn't listening. We were trying to get a video done, and time crunch, we're already late for school, and then other things that are going on. And so I was thinking like, okay, I'm short fused because, and it's not necessarily like his fault. Should he have listened and gotten ready 5 to 10 minutes earlier when I asked him to the first time? Yes, but I'm short fused because this is something that I had on my to-do list that I really wanted to get done. But now in turn, it's causing us to maybe to be late. And then that is maybe making me spiral that I'm going to be late for a meeting. And so it's just really ultimately coming back to me to say, okay, as the mom, I should have planned and buffered an extra 30 minutes for this. And then I wouldn't have had a short fuse with him. So you might look at that too, and just say, like, from a stress management perspective, where are you adding things to your list that you shouldn't, because you just know, like, saying yes to too many things is not helping you. Right. So then you just don't add more than 3 things on your to-do list that day. Whatever, your personal situation is, I always look at my to-do list for the day and put the top 2 to 3 things as these have got to get done as my priority. And then I stopped really forcing myself to think I'm superhuman, some kind of, crazy woman that has the power to do all of these things, because I would just feel, at the end of the day, disappointed. And that's not the way that we want to live. So I think it's also just knowing yourself and knowing that you need to take a different approach with how much you're putting on your plate.
I was looking at this last piece and I paused mainly because I was looking at the relationship piece. And I think that this is probably one of the hardest pieces that people experience, is having to cut ties with friends and potentially spouses even. Because I think a lot of people go through healing journeys and become a different person. Like they change their habits, they change their routines, they change how they view the world, they change their perspectives, they change who they are. And that person doesn't match anymore with maybe who you originally chose to potentially spend your life with, or a best friend that you've been with, friends with forever, right? And now they seem to always just kind of bring you down, right? They want you to do things that are non-productive. They want you to go out and party all the time, and they make you feel bad when you don't. And so I always tell people, like, evaluate what relationships fill you up and evaluate what relationships leave you feeling really yucky after you've spent time with that person, right? And feel like you're butting heads. And so you need to feel right with what you do in a day. You need to feel that at the end of the day, how I lived my life, I'm proud of, and it was true to me, and not try to be anyone else other than what you believe you want for your life. And it can be hard because, again, you maybe have had these relationships for a really long time. But there's no worse feeling than going to bed at the end of the day and being like, gosh, I didn't, like, in my gut, that wasn't me, right? Maybe you had a conversation, maybe you had a thing, whatever it might be. I think of, like, politics is the first thing I think of. Like, you're trying to just please other people by not having conflict, but it doesn't feel right in your gut, right? In food and, health aspects, it's like you do these things just to fit in because that's the social aspect. But then at the end of the day, you're like, I just feel icky, right? And so sometimes you go through this period of being lonely and kind of living on this, like, solo island, right? And no one at any point should tolerate any type of disrespect to yourself, to things that you value, to things that are important to you, right? And it can be really hard to stand up to people, especially if they've been in your life for a long time. But you have to go to bed at night feeling like what you do on a day-to-day basis is true. It feels right in your gut. It feels right in your mind. It feels right in your heart, right? And I think even if you break some relationships along the way, if you have that, you can live with your life, right? Because there's, again, like there's no worse feeling than feeling like you're lying to everyone, right? You're not acting in ways that feel true to you. You're doing things that other people ask you to do, even when it doesn't feel right. Like I think of when I was a little kid, I was in 7th grade, such a weird thought, but like, I remember there was a kid that asked me what was on the test because I had the period before him, and he asked me in the middle of the hallway. And I was like, I feel like I shouldn't tell him. Like, this doesn't feel right. But I did. And of course, my teacher was standing right behind me and I got caught cheating, quite right. And like, I'm a goody two shoes. That is not what I do. And I remember just sobbing all day long because I was like, I didn't, like, this isn't me. I'm not that big. Like, and it didn't feel right to me, but I was trying to be the people pleaser. I was trying to, it was a cute boy that I liked. So like but it wasn't true in my gut. And so I then had to live with that. And that's what I think of with this. It's like, when you are not true to yourself, it's the worst feeling in the world, even if you please other people. Because again, those people probably aren't even your people to begin with.
I agree. And the last thing we'll say is that these people are not going to visit you in the nursing home. I think a lot of people walk around trying to people please, and they don't really think about, like, I go back and I look at people that I thought I was really, really close with in my corporate job. I talk to none of them today. Things happen, things change, people change. It's okay. People serve you for in a season for a reason, as I like to say. But at the end of the day, when you're really looking at this and you're looking at, who is draining you and who is kind of pulling you back and not cheering you on, not uplifting you, not encouraging you to reach for your dreams, they're not probably going to visit you in the nursing home. So, as Mel Robbins would say, let them judge you, let them shame you, let them say all the things they want to say. At the end of the day, you have to design your life the way that you want it and figure out a way. It's hard, but you got to figure out a way to let those people go and keep moving forward.